Panic spraying, rushing your shots, tensing up and overflicking. Why does it feel like sometimes, despite all the aim training and deathmatch in the world, we just cannot seem to shake off these bad habits? The answer is actually very simple, and it's exactly what we're going to be discussing in today's video. However, in case you're new here, my name is zasko, and I have been placed on this planet to share the secrets behind extraordinary mechanics. Today's video is going to come in two parts. First, we're going to briefly discuss the mental/game sense approach to solving these particular problems, and then secondly, we're going to look specifically at the mechanics. Once you watch both parts, practice them individually, and then combine them together, you will be looking like a professional in no time. Now anyways, without further ado, let's teach ourselves how to stop bricks when we see people in game and actually have some composure. This part is actually very easy, and I can explain it with a simple analogy. Let's pretend it is a dark and stormy night. You've finished a late shift at work and you're driving back home. You walk through the front door, and before you get a chance to even turn on the light, I jump out at you screaming whilst holding a chainsaw. What's your reaction gonna be? Panic? Stress? Quick movements? Like, you're probably going to be jumping, like launching back towards the door, trying to run away. And well, that's to be expected based on the situation. Now, let me give you an alternative. You're driving home from work. However, this time you get a text message from me saying, "Yo, by the way, I'm just chilling behind your front door with a chainsaw and a scary mask, and once you arrive home, I'm going to jump out at you and scream. Don't panic though, I'm not gonna hurt you or nothing, I'm just doing it for the sake of it." What's gonna happen now is you're gonna walk through that door, I'm gonna jump out at you, and well, you're probably just gonna look at me funny and tell me to get the hell out of your house. Hopefully, you're starting to understand what I'm trying to say. The secret to not panicking in a particular Valorant scenario is to anticipate that scenario happening in some form or fashion. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're pushing out onto B side of a SENS and your goal is to get into a power position like Giraffe so that you can hold off the retake. In this case, let's compare Giraffe to our bedroom in the analogy earlier. Just like how we were focused on simply getting home and getting to sleep, in this situation, we're super focused on getting ourselves into Giraffe so that we can play from that position. Now, what happens when you're about to make it up the steps, but just before you get there, the spawn flood arrives and someone swings out of the CT smoke, catching you off guard? Well, just like the other analogy, you either expected it to happen or you didn't. And if you didn't, that fight is probably going to look pretty ugly. Again, panic sprays, overflicking, ultra high tension, etc, etc. We've all experienced this before. It's near impossible to stay composed if we've got some kind of goal in mind and then something we weren't expecting abruptly interferes, especially when we feel like we're about to die and that we have a very limited time to respond to this brand new threat, aka someone swinging a CT smoke and pointing a gun at your face. Basically, the simple solution to panicking less in game and overcoming this obstacle is giving yourself as many quote-unquote text messages as possible. Prepare yourself for as many situations as you can. Every single time you die, we need to become self-aware enough to recognize when something did actually catch us off guard. With this new understanding of this concept, now make it your goal to go hunting for these types of scenarios. Die, and instead of being frustrated because the enemy swung you on a funky timing, be happy that you were able to experience that, and now you can warn your future self with, again, quote-unquote text messages. "Yo, future me, by the way, as you're pushing out onto site and heading towards Giraffe, there is a small window of opportunity where you can die to the spawn flood, so just make sure you're prepared for it." Now, imagine what that fight's going to look like. It's gonna happen, and you're gonna be chilling, cool, calm, collected, and you're just gonna aim just like you do in your death matches, because in your death matches, you anticipate people to swing you. It's all the same. Now, yes, knowing this information, you could go ahead and play anti-flash or literally hold the smoke for the flood to swing out of it, but you honestly don't need to do that if you've got better things you could be doing. For example, if you're scaling up B and heading towards Giraffe, you've still got to worry about stairs. Someone could be on site. What you can do is take that fight stairs, but in the back of your mind, know that the spawn flood is probably about to swing you. And then once again, they'll swing you and you'll just change your direction a little bit, strafe in the opposite direction, do a nice graceful flick, and then click on the head just like you would in the aim trainer. Like, you are more than capable of moving your mouse from point A to point B and then clicking. Now that you're mentally prepared for the mouse movement that you might have to make, when you do it, it's going to be just like the range. It's going to be just like static scenarios in Kovacs. That's the point I'm trying to make. The difference between a Radiant player and an Immortal player, or even a Radiant player and a Diamond player, is that the Radiant player has this kind of understanding of the situations that they're going to face in game, and they're mentally prepared for them. It's why you watch ASPAS and less frag out in games and they just never seem to panic. they know what's coming next, or they know what could happen next, and they know how to react accordingly. Now, before we go on to the mechanics side of things, which are equally as important as the mental and game sense side of things that I've already mentioned, I want to tell you guys about something very cool that I did recently. I got my PC completely optimized by FPS Hub, and I was so happy with what they did that I asked them if they wanted to sponsor the video. Basically, it's a veteran-owned company that works with heaps of mainstream creators. They're only just starting to get into Valorant now, but we're talking people like Tfue and Nadeshot and many esports teams across the entire esports world. As someone who's got a good PC, what stood out to me more than just the consistent FPS and lack of crashes that they offer was the fact that through undervolting they could increase my system lifespan, and through creating a custom Windows install and clearing my PC of every single bit of bloat possible, they lowered my system latency dramatically. And that was the cream of the crop. I was like, nah, I've got to share this. I've got to tell people about it. Overall, it was an extremely simple process, and if they can't help you for whatever reason, they're happy to give you a refund. They also come with comprehensive warranty to make sure that their work is top-notch and working as it should for all their customers. In the description, I'm going to leave a link to FPS Hub and the work that they do, and I highly recommend checking them out. As you start to apply this concept, now we just need to understand, okay, cool, when we do anticipate someone to swing us, like what's the actual mouse movement look like? How do we handle these situations mechanically? What should we train in order to be prepared for the situations when we do anticipate someone to swing us? The simple answer, and the answer that's going to waste as little of your time as possible, is just to go and practice reflex scenarios in Kovacs. Go and give yourself scenarios where you do get caught off guard. Minigod has an entire video on aiming discipline and how it all works, and honestly, I swear by it. I think it's one of the most important skills to develop as a Valorant player. And yeah, that's kind of it, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it's not that complicated.